Hello everyone. So I've been working on a projectile pack for the marketplace, and as you can see here, quite a few are already flying about, and this one is still experimental because it's quite heavy-ish, so I need to find a nice way to optimize that. But let's go to them being used. So this is just a buster kind of effect with 4 kinds of muzzles, impacts, and 3 kinds of charges. And they go nice and about. Here's what I call the blaster, more laser kind of thing. And this is what I call sonar. And it uses a lot of refraction, so as you can see, if the frame rate is keeping up, is that there's a lot of refraction going on. And that's all fine, it looks nice. Though obviously this one is quite heavy because it uses the refraction quite a bit. So I'll definitely need to optimize that in the particle LODs. Boom, especially that one. And let's look a little bit more at the small details. Let me make it a bit slower. As you can see, there's a ring that's fading around the edges. When you get too close, it fades out a little bit because it gets ugly. And the further you go away, the stronger it gets. And if you fly in the way, it will actually hit you. Boom. And you can see all kinds of refraction going on. Especially the leather one. There's a nice ring around it. Let's zoom out a little bit. And I kind of added that effect to every system, so there's always a nice ring going about it. It's volumetric, so it always works on edges and corners, that kind of thing. Let's look at one of the charges in slow motion. Can you recharge again? Thank you. Let's go to this one. As you can see, depending on the amount of charge, to try to blast them, I need to fiddle about it a little bit more because I tweaked something and it actually ruined level 1 charge. And inside the cannon there's this nice glowing thing going on, though might not be able to see that properly. I can show you in the editor, of course. So let's do that. Just a small little detail that I added, and goes faster depending on the charge level. So yeah, that's the visual part. I am going to show you a few things. Let's just pick one of the sonars. Then you can kind of see what's going on. So this is the first sonar, second sonar, third sonar, and fourth sonar. And there are quite a few emitters going on, and this is just a projectile. If I let's go to, well, anyone is fine, of course, but let's go to the buster and just open a few. Buster 1, you can already see that there are quite a few emitters for each effect. We try to keep it as optimal as possible, but you need a lot of small details. For instance, you need the glowing orb. I have some small force going around it, just for an additional effect. That might fade out depending on the distance. Same with that thing. It needs a tail, of course. There's some nice additional glow around it, and a nice additional glow at the front. Not every projectile has it, but for this buster effect it looks really nice. and things that I can turn down when the LOD kick in. Nice mesh tail and some additional sparks that only work on the spawn per unit. So bigger buster, even bigger buster, and some charge effects. I can see it from the front, the back, and these grow quite exponentially in the amount of emitters that I need. There, some of the impacts, and these are quite heavy as well. There, and the biggest impact needs the most emitters. Simple muzzle, bigger muzzle. So there's that. I kind of want to show the helix because I am done with the projectile, but I still need to make the impact, the charge, and the muzzle effects. But I do like how they look. Let's go to the first one. Nice and rotaty. Boom, boom, boom. And the last, we can slow it down for a few to see what's going on. So as you can see, there is a lot of noise going around the meshes. And a lot of distortion on this frontal mesh. I might need to speed it up depending on the movement though. I have not done that. I mean the rotation speed in this case. And there's one other effect that I kind of want to show. I think the sonar has it in the charge. Yeah. So this is quite an interesting thing. It uses the spline thicken method. So it's just a very thin mesh that's going about. Let's go to wireframe, might work. Obviously not. So basically, that's all there is. But the mesh itself actually, let's open it up, is a combination of very thin lines that are used by the spline thicken, and I'm using a vertical collapse. Thank you, Deathray, for that. So that only one line is emitted each time, and that depends on the vertex colors. There we go. Now you can see the vertex colors. So one is red, one is blue. There's a green one somewhere here. There we go. And one that only uses the alpha channel. And that's the black one. And depending on some of the logic in the material, only one of those is shown and the rest is collapsed to make sure that there's no additional draw of those. I can show you the material real quick. As an instance, use the material. So depending on the angle, it always will look nicely towards the camera, and that makes spline thicken really awesome. It can give some problems with things that are repeating quite a bit and rotating, but if it's fast, then it's more than fine. And this results, it just looks at which vertex color is activated through a dynamic parameter, and only that the mesh part that uses that vertex color is not hidden, which is quite nice. I might be able to actually show that with the mesh. Where's the mesh? Over here. Then apply it here. There we go. As you can see, there's only one. And we can basically preview that if I add a time sign. There. So only the one that's white will not be collapsed. And when not previewing, that will result in selecting only one of those meshes, which is quite a nice thing to have. So back to the selector. There we go. Let me show you a few other materials because I'm somewhat proud of them. There we go. Materials. Let's go to a few of the masters. Well, the bullet, of course, is very, well, not that simple. This is all math, this part, to make it wobble. as you can see. And that basically just does this. I could have used the texture, but it's actually just about cheaper. And obviously a feature quality that basically has a feature level switch and quality switch, so that on low end mobile kind of things that the vertex offset stuff won't be used. I need to add a few more of those around the shaders still. One other one is interesting. There's also, again, using the wobble. I have no idea what to call it, so I'm calling it wobble. And it's basically using this for some nice effects. And try to keep them somewhat clean, the materials, because I don't want to have other people look at it and just go like, ah, this is horrible, I can't read this. And this one won't look proper without the right mesh, so let's grab one of the static meshes. I think that one is made for it specifically, so here you go. Nice and hypnotizing. And as you can see, there's this error here for mobile that is not working in ES2. So I probably need to add a quality node to that so that it uses something else in case of being used in mobile. Okay, let's do one more before I call it quits. Where's my content browser? Which one is somewhat interesting? Actually, one of the sprites might actually be cool. Let's pick this one, I think. No, that's not the one. Sphere swipe, I need this spark swipe thing. There we go. This one is actually quite cool. It's not that complex, but basically this is a flipbook, as you can see here. And I pick the frame I need so that I have multiple sparks I can emit from one texture. And I can rescale them from the centers. And I can still pen them along a mesh. So let me grab one of the meshes. I think it's in various, no, tails. I think we can pick one of those. I think though, let me double check. Swipes, charge, might be. Not a super good example. I do have it in instances as well, I think. Blaster instances, spark swipe. That might be a good one, but I need a mesh for it. Let's see. Also not the ones I want. Where are you? Ah. Let's just pick one of those. And depending on the frame, it will pick another of those triangles. And because I'm rescaling, depending on some sizes, it will still pen along a mesh, even though it's a flipbook, which is really cool. It's a bit hard to show you like this, but luckily this effect is makes use of that. So I need to find the right emitter for it. There we go, I think. At the moment it's using spawn by units, but we can just add like 10 of those. And every time it emits, it picks another spark. And while you can't really see when it's moving at the fastest speed, it still adds some nice additional feel to it. And I could still tweak, like, let me refresh this. I can change the sprite width. So over one makes them very thin. One makes them quite thick, and we can actually go to 1.5. So for some additional randomization, we can just set it to load uniform between 0.5 and 1.5, and now everyone is either thick or thin, or somewhere in between. Need to make sure that's on spawn time only, of course. And now we'll pick a random value between 0.5 and 1. Let's try to make it a bit more clear. There. And that's actually quite cool. But because of that, I kind of needed to use the vertical lapse as well, because it's using a mesh that's, let's see, there we go. It's using a mesh like this, and if you have emit them all at the same time, it's actually quite expensive. I can probably show you even. There, I don't need the world position offset in this case, so let's do it like this. And then show you here, if I go to complexity view, now it's emitting all those edges, all of them. And it's quite expensive, though I'm not sure if this mesh actually, what I use in here, has vertex colors enabled, but we can apply a mesh that actually has that real quick. There. So even though only one of these meshes is used, let me lower spawn count as well. Okay, so where was I? I had to open the door. Okay. At the moment, all 4 parts of this mesh are being spawned, and that's actually quite a performance heavy thing. So if I go and spawn 10, as you can see, it's getting quite complex quite fast. So if I change that in here with the vertical lapse and I save it, it will only emit one of those parts at the same time, and you can see that there's a huge difference in overdraw. And in that case, I could actually spawn 4 times as much before it gets a problem. So that's quite a nice performance gain, and I kind of wanted to show you that because it's really cool. And I have no idea what it will look like now because I haven't used this particular mesh in this effect. So let's go back to lit. And it's over the top and doesn't fit this mesh at all, but I think we can use another mesh for that real quick. Let me find one. That was the one I used. And sadly this doesn't have the overdraw properly yet, but for some reason this looks really cool as well. But yeah, this is just a test mesh, so who knows. But gotta say, this actually looks quite interesting. I might use it for this particular effect in one way or the other. So yeah, that's that. Hopefully you like it, and hopefully I'll be done within 2 weeks so I can submit it to the marketplace. Alright. I think that's about it. So take care and have a nice productive week. Luos out.